Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study in the Gospel of Mark, and we're in chapter 8. We're going to read verses 27 through 30. This is Peter's confession of Jesus at Caesarea Philippi. Jesus went out along with the disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi, and on the way he questioned his disciples, saying to them, "Who do people say that I am?" And they told him, saying, "John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, but still others one of the prophets." And he continued by questioning them, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter answered and said to him, "You are the Christ." He warned them to tell no one about him. Now, of the three accounts of Peter's confession, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, this is the shortest. Luke's is only a bit longer. Peter answers, "You are the Christ of God." But Matthew's is the longest, and in Matthew's we're told that he said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Peter then is told by Jesus, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of John, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father in heaven." And one wonders why, if Peter and his preaching may be a primary source for Mark's gospel, so little is said. But then again, as we will continue to see, Peter is named only when necessary, and Peter in no way highlights himself if this is indeed the preaching of Peter. This is just a straightforward account. Now the next section where Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan," immediately to Peter, that's the longest account of the three in the Synoptic Gospels. Jesus is in Caesarea Philippi with his disciples, and they're going about the villages there. Now that's interesting because this is Gentile country. This is north. This would be present-day Lebanon, Syria area. This is not the Caesarea that Paul will be imprisoned in on the coast. This is a different Caesarea Philippi. It is famous for its grotto to Pan. It is a famous religious site for a variety of pagan religions, and it is this place that features the grotto of Pan is the headwaters or the source of the Jordan River. And it's interesting that he asks them this question there in a Gentile area. These are men who have already been on their first missionary journey. Jesus has already sent them out 2 by 2. They've already been preaching in villages and using the special spiritual gifts that they had been given in those villages to support the message. And so that's a pretty important question. In fact, there are two, and they continue to be the two pertinent questions for any disciple. The first is, what do people say about me? What is the perception of the world as regards to Jesus? You know, what's the word on the street? Seriously, that's what he's asking. If we are going to take the message of God to the people, then we're going to have to be able to communicate to them, beginning with where they are. As Paul says, when he says, "I become all things to all men," in the Corinthian correspondence, he's not talking about, just posing. He's talking about using someone's own communication styles and their own language to communicate the gospel to them so that they will understand. So what are they saying? And of course the disciples know because they've traveled everywhere. They know. And the answer is John the Baptist and Elijah and others, one of the prophets. We're going to find out just a little later in the text of Mark that John the Baptist is the Elijah that they expect to come as a forerunner to the Messiah. The fact that some would call him a prophet, that's huge. The people are getting close to understanding how special Jesus is because everyone knew that God had not spoken through a prophet in 400 years. And to think a prophet is now among us again means that they understood God was doing something very special, and that Jesus was the man through whom that special thing was being done. So that's pretty cool. And then we have his answer: you are the Messiah. You're the Messiah. You're the Christ. Matthew's account is interesting because Jesus says, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you. And it's even interesting that Jesus asks the question at all, because from the very beginning, Andrew knows who Jesus is. When Andrew, after spending a day with Jesus, introduces Peter to Jesus for the first time, he says, this is the Messiah. We have found the Messiah. And so Peter's comprehension has to go beyond just that, something that he has earned through thought and prayer, something that God has revealed to him, some deeper understanding. And yet we're going to find out immediately that in terms of specifics, that understanding was quite shallow. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes. We'll pick up at the end of chapter 8 next time. Thank you so much for joining me.